A United Nations Habitat report of 2010 highlighted that Zambia's waste generation rates were approximately 0.5 kg per person daily. But per day, Lusaka generates 1,200 tons of garbage. While this may seem modest compared to the 1.2 kg per person generated in developed countries, most garbage generated in Lusaka is not collected by the council because of limited budgets and lack of equipment. Unless sustainable waste disposal and treatment improves, the city could be vulnerable to all kinds of diseases. Today on News in Depth, we explore this problem and establish possible solutions to the solid waste management process. I am your host, Macpherson Mkuka. Stay tuned. Zambia has a fast-growing population with over 18 million people at present. Lusaka City, Zambia's commercial center, has a fair share of the growing population with over 3 million people. Being the capital city, Lusaka has experienced major infrastructure development with majestic office blocks standing on manicured lawns, expanded roads, overhead bridges, and lush trees. Slowly, the city is rekindling its old nickname, the Garden City. But behind this pomp and splendor, the city has a dirty, old problem: waste. It is growing just as fast as the city and its population are growing.
We are looking at a situation where we have over 1,200 tons of waste generated every day in the city of Lusaka, and all that waste has to find itself at the landfill. And if that is done daily, you can imagine the quantity of waste that is taken to the landfill. And so currently, what is happening is because the landfill has been in existence for some time. The Chunga landfill was the Chunga dump and the sanitary landfill. The sanitary landfill has been used from 2007 up to date. So we have these challenges of maybe waste by illegal waste transporters being dumped outside the landfill itself, that will create a nuisance in terms of maybe disturbing the access road that is adjacent to the landfill.
This problem bothers other stakeholders in the waste management cycle.
Indiscriminate disposal of waste. People are not really disposing waste the way it's supposed to be disposed. People should know that, okay, this type of waste should go to this type of skip, to this type of waste storage receptacle, but there's no that kind of sensitization, and people can just throw waste anyhow, and there's no one to actually look at them or monitor them or kind of impose sanctions on them of throwing waste indiscriminately.
From time immemorial, we've been trying to depend on the municipal councils, the local authorities, to be able to collect waste from our household level to the dump site. But as we move on, I think what is very important is that every person has to be involved. We need to be responsible in the way we manage our waste. After all, the waste is generated by ourselves, and we need to be cautious on how we manage the waste.
Most of the city's residents, unfortunately, do not appreciate nor subscribe to waste collection as part of city life.
You realize that people think if I produce this particular waste, then I can dump it, and you think there should be somebody else who's going to pick up that waste. So we have a situation where people don't take responsibility of their own waste, and they actually expect that somebody else will actually pick their waste or will manage their waste. So that is our biggest challenge: people's mindsets, people not wanting to take care of their own waste and thinking there should be a next person.
Waste generation is a daily and global problem, especially in highly populated cities. The United Nations projects that more than 75% of the world's population will be living in cities by 2050, a situation that will more likely result in increased volumes of waste generated. For Lusaka, the amount of waste collected is too much due to lack of proper mechanisms to separate waste at source. This puts pressure on the only dump site the city has. The Chunga dump site is a growing mountain of trash. Official tally puts waste generation in the city at approximately 1 million tons annually.
People not subscribing for waste collection to these legally contracted companies by the local authority for capping waste. Now, what that means is that waste will not be, you can't segregate waste like that if you have no one who's coming to collect it from you to go and dump it at the landfill. The end result is the commingled waste ends up finding itself dumped indiscriminately. And then when the local authority comes through, you just collect all that, take it to the landfill.
Waste management is one of the Lusaka City Council's biggest headaches because of its limited financial capacity as well as limited equipment.
When you look at the time that the landfill came in existence, the population of people wasn't as much, but the generation has gone up because of increase in population. So now you have that quantity not matching with the existing capacity of the landfill. That is why we have there's the local authority, other than the everyday efforts we make to make sure that we manage the cells, we provide proper drainages at the landfill, and also clear the waste that is around surrounding the landfill. We have also explored the avenue of what is called waste to energy to make sure that we encourage the conversion of waste, as it were, into power, which will help us reduce the quantity of waste that is going to be found at the landfill.
But where there is a problem, entrepreneurs see an opportunity. Edna Mtonga and her mother Memory run a community waste aggregation site in Garden Compound. They buy, aggregate, and resell trash to recyclers.
When we started as collectors, we used to go for competitions at showgrounds. Yes, so we had some prizes that we were given. Yes, so when we get a lot of HD or PPs or Clear PT, it's the amount of the materials that you get, and then it's suits with the prize that you'll be given. Yes. So as time goes by, we were number 2. Yes, the first one had a lot than ours. So after that, we were given a prize of 13,000. Yes. So, and containers, and we were given a fence and everything. That's when we opened this site as garden sites in 2019. Yes, so that's how we started.
Edna shared her experiences in the business.
Yeah, it's really helping because I'm able to pay my school fees, and as far as I'm concerned, Mom has bought 2 plots for herself, and she has really helped me in terms of school and a lot of things, and she has helped the family in terms of food. Every day she always provides food for us and stuff.
Edna and her mother were funded under a Zambian brewery's corporate social responsibility project dubbed Manja Pamozi.
Wanted to help the women and the children, the youth specifically. It's it's a community-based initiative where at least women are encouraged and the youth to earn a little bit of some income at the end of the day, where they can support their families.
In a proper waste management system, the separation of waste should be done at the household level. However, in Zambia, this is done at the dump site by scavengers who collect and aggregate waste. These are the heroes that contribute to keeping the city's waste under control. Meet Vinance and her colleague in Chimunya. They have been in the business for 9 years.
I started collecting waste because of the problems I was facing at home. This is my source of income, which enables me to buy food and pay for my children's school fees.
That problem I had ended after I came here. By picking from this dump site, I have nothing to worry about regarding the welfare of my children at home.
But their work is full of challenges.
We are asking for the authorities to help us with graders. That is our cry.
I, Vinance Zulu, is asking for gumboots. I am poor, but I'm not crying for food. All I want is protective shoes to cover my feet and protect myself from cuts from broken bottles.
Environmental professionals and organizations have realized the important role that scavengers play in keeping the city's dirty mountains from growing out of control.
They help us reduce the waste, and they also add to a circular economy, an economy where we do not promote a single-use throwaway culture, but actually use our products that are already existent in the environment to actually maintain, instead of digging for more new raw materials from the environment, we actually just use the already available ones. So that is the importance of waste aggregators. They are promoting the circular economy, and also they are ensuring that we recycle the products that are in the environment, which also contributes to eradicating the effects of climate change, because waste is a contributing factor because it releases some certain greenhouse gases.
Can you imagine if they were not aggregating the waste that has found itself here at the landfill? We will be able to choke this place. This place will be filled up with waste that can be recycled. So they are also very important. They are also they are part and parcel of the waste management system, because they're segregating waste, which can be taken for further processing. It can be recycled into other products that could be utilized for other purposes.
For the Environmental Communications Center, collectors and aggregators deserve a pat on the back for their role in protecting the environment. Center Chairperson Eddie Ngoma feels the collectors and aggregators deserve more than a pat on the back.
Once waste collectors are motivated, once waste collectors are given a good price, because the price that they are given now, we see many people going out to go and pick waste, but they are not motivated. When you look at this steel that is thrown anyhow, you can't find any steel lying idle in the compounds. Why? People realize that this is money. That is the same reason we are calling on waste aggregators to increase on the price of waste.
Christopher Tembo, a middleman aggregator, says things are changing at the dump site as buyers and sellers of aggregated waste are now offering competitive prices.
We thought of bringing a change whereby that collector can have access direct to come and sell to me, because I offer a better price. These people, they are suffering a lot. Because he's picking and getting a less. Like for example, if a collector collects a plastic and then he bring it to someone who's buying from inside, sell it at 15 ngwe, and then that person takes it to me. I buy it at 1 kwacha. And then me, I take it, whatever I'll take it, if I'm selling 20 kwacha or whatever, that will be my business. Now, we want that to end. So that's why we are engaging. Even the collector, they can sell. We just thought of bringing in freedom for everyone to benefit.
The Lusaka City Council is, however, concerned with the safety of collectors and aggregators.
Waste can be infectious, because it's not segregated. You can find yourself handling waste that is infectious. That's the risk. It's actually a very huge risk, and so there's need for them to be protected adequately, protective equipment, safety gloves, face masks, and so on.
Further, the Zambia Institute of Environmental Health, ZIA, suggests that collectors and aggregators be subjected to routine medical checkups. He says the collectors at the dump site are prone to health hazards because the environment they are operating from is toxic.
There must be a deliberate policy to ensure that they go for medical checkups. Of course, we're famous after 6 months, but due to the toxicants and the pollutants that they could be exposed to, I think we'd recommend that every other 3 months, they should be able to go for medical checkups. There are quite a number of conditions that our people could be exposed to. Respiratory conditions, when they inhale all these toxins, it may be absorbed in the lungs, different parts of the body, and it could result into various chronic infections, cancers, you name them. So it's actually, they're at high risk of contracting different types of ailments.
But the collectors and aggregators themselves are more concerned about their financial problem rather than their physical health.
There are no diseases here. If we are to get sick, we would get the disease from outside. It's hot here, there are no diseases.
But Christopher is aware of the health risks and shares what his team has been trying to do to protect the hundreds of collectors at the dump site.
Waste which came from the hospitals. There's a lot of injections there. That's the only big challenge. When it comes to cholera, so each center which each area which there is cholera, they collect those things, they dump them here. And then here, there are a lot of people are found here. So it's only by the grace of God that we haven't even recorded even one case of cholera here. We engaged these recyclers. We engaged Sanyang, that was Xinhong. They provided PPEs, but from since then, none has done that. We collected almost 500 gumboots with wetsuit from Sanyang, also from Xinhong. Again, we collected 500 PPEs.
Likewise, Edna has taken all the necessary measures to protect herself and collectors that take waste to the site. She has placed a bucket filled with water and a hand-washing soap for routine hand washing.
We always have gloves, face mask, and gumboots, and working suits, so that I can be protected from any diseases. And then after I'm done with my work, I always use a soap and hand sanitizer.
Both the Zambia Institute of Environmental Health and the Zambia Environment Management Agency, ZEMA, recognize the need to avoid segregation at source as one other solution to the city's waste management challenges.
It would be nice if the aggregation was done at community level, where we sort our waste within our communities, and the aggregators sit in the community and we take our recyclable waste to them, and what goes to the dump site is waste that you really just want to get rid of, and waste that doesn't have value, and actually that particular waste is waste that you're disposing of and no one will go back to it and actually try to pick it.
We're supposed to start segregating waste from household level, okay? We need to segregate waste according to different types that we generate, plastic on its own, paper on its own, and the perishable waste on their own, and disposed into various bin liners or receptacles. And from the primary level goes to the secondary level, where it can be, the recycled waste can be taken to various companies and processed into other valuable waste. But if that is not managed from household level, we tend to choke the landfill. And all this, what is happening here, is supposed to be done from the primary and secondary level. What's supposed to receive here are waste is perishable.
The Lusaka City Council has advised members of the public to consider waste as an opportunity to earn money by selling waste to aggregators. Council Director Public Health, Christopher Mtonga, says this way the Lusaka residents will help reduce the amount of waste going to the dump site.
Waste is money, you know, and the sooner we realize as a people that we can make money out of waste, the better it's going to be for all of us, because all of us are going to make something out of the waste, as it were. All this, we're talking about people finding themselves at the landfill to scavenge, if I may use that word, is because waste is not separated at source. That's why you find waste, these reusable parts of waste finding themselves at the landfill. Because imagine if you and I were to separate waste at our homes, the empty bottles that people are so much in need of, that they're going to scavenge from the landfill, they'll not be found there, because we'll have them at our homes.
Further, Zambia Environment Management Agency ZEMA feels the existing gap is as a result of lack of awareness on the importance of waste segregation. ZEMA Principal Inspector Hazardous Waste, Pierin Nkonde, says there is need to conduct a comprehensive sensitization campaign for people to know the importance of waste segregation.
We do have a department within ZEMA, which is the communications department, so we're also carrying out awareness activities to make sure that we educate people on the importance of managing our waste properly. Already some companies are setting up buyback centers where they're buying back their waste or their products when they become waste. And also there are companies that have already set up recycling industries, so that when their products become waste, they're able to take it out of the environment and actually recycle it. So one of the other things that we're encouraging is for them to also form partnerships, because sometimes companies may not want to form a company for recycling or a company that will be buying back. But then we also encourage companies to form partnerships so that if I have waste, I can identify a company that will help me take out that particular waste from the environment.
We're trying to see if we could actually educate them on the importance of adhering to certain pieces of legislation, because when you look at certain specific laws, there are certain things that ought not to be done by them and things that should be done by them before actually engaging themselves into whatever they are doing. So it's just a question of, explaining to them that, there are these legal requirements. If you do not satisfy these requirements, then you actually abrogating the law. So these are some of the things that we're doing.
Manufacturers of household products are the biggest contributors to the city's waste, and yet very few of them are held accountable. Environmental activist Enoch Mwewa, who also dabbles as an aggregator, wants more manufacturers to take responsibility in waste management.
Most of these producing companies, waste generating companies, are following up with their waste. So what they can do is actually start waste tracking. So if a certain X company is producing a certain waste, they should be able to track it and take it back for recycling, especially if it's recyclable. This can be done by putting up cooperatives or even just assuring they have certain their own storage receptacles that people can use and take their waste that they have produced in the environment. So that way they'll be helping to reduce the amount of waste that is being generated and ending up in the local communities.
ZEMA, in collaboration with the Lusaka City Council, is considering mechanisms of making manufacturers pay for waste generation in line with the Extended Producer Responsibility statutory instrument.
We also collaborate with stakeholders like the local authorities and the Ministry of Local Government, since they are the ones with the mandate of making sure that waste is collected and disposed of at the designated dump site. So we work with them, and then we also work with other interested parties. We also work with NGOs that are interested in making sure that we manage our waste within our environment. So we are also doing stakeholder collaboration, and that is helping us to manage our waste within the country.
The SI is quite all right. It's fine, it's in effect. I think what needs to be done is to actualize it. We must be able to take it seriously. We must not be complacent, because after all, we are trying to ensure that the environment is maintained in a good state. So the various institutions that are mandated to implement that piece of legislation are supposed to make sure that they follow it to the latter. And whoever abrogates, whichever industry does not abide by what has been stated in the SI, is supposed to be visited, and the legal processes commence and take place.
The solution to Lusaka's waste problem lies in commercializing waste management, but this will not happen unless the city's residents appreciate the need for waste segregation at household and commercial level. Manufacturers too need to reward residents who support recycling of products. The Lusaka City Council, on the other hand, has to make major investment in waste collection equipment, and the money can be raised by levying manufacturers that do not reward recycling. That is all we could package for you on this week's edition of News in Depth. We have been discussing the role of aggregators in the solid waste management process. Do join us next time for yet another informative News in Depth documentary presentation. I've been your host, Macpherson Mukuka. The time to act is now. Separate waste at your home and stay safe.